Okay, now we should be going with any luck. Now this is going to be a little bit more discombobulated because I'm not, I didn't like get all this planned out, but I do know that there's some
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we missed, so I thought
Okay.
I'd cover it. Uh,
Okay.
let's see now. Let's talk about error variables. So
Okay.
we've got this where we could say something like, um, get content.
I'm still cannot see your screen, by the way, so you know.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's because I didn't share for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should share.
Okay, it's coming up. Yep, perfect. Now I see it.
Okay. There we go. So get content, myfile.txt. Of course, it's not going to be able to find it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we can say something like, uh, um, we can set our error preference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can also set our variable. So I can say error action is stop, and I can say, oops, error variable is, we'll just make it error, right? Now, interesting thing about this, variables start with a $sign. But here I'm just giving the name of the variable. I'm not, I'm creating a variable, but the the commandlet creates the variable for you. You just got to give it a name. Okay? Are you still here? Hello?
Oh, Sean. Okay, I know I'm back or you're back, but I just got disconnected for like a few seconds. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Oh, perfect. This will be a great video. Um, so did you hear any of that?
Well, I heard right where you were engine type in the error variable. That's it.
Right. So
I'm not sure.
with the error variable,
Mm-hmm.
you just give the name, because while variables start with a $sign, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
actually creating the variable here. The command that's creating the variable, you're just giving it the name. So
Okay.
when you create an error variable here, just the name, no $sign.
Okay.
And so it tells me here that, you know, uh, you notice how I'm getting, I can't find the path because it does not exist, get content, blah, 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 right? Let's see
Mm-hmm.
if I have in there, see, error action preference. Um, let's go up, and I think maybe I needed to put that in quotes, but I'm not positive.
Mm-hmm.
Error action, that shouldn't matter. And let's see if I get anything there. Oh, it's set to stop. Well, yeah, it's set to stop. Um, yeah, okay. So I got my
Mm-hmm.
error message right there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is the whole thing, right? Running command stop because it set the error action, blah, blah, blah. And then
Mm-hmm.
cannot find the path. So I do have ERR as my error variable.
Mm-hmm.
If I do a GM on it, you can see I've got stop exception, I've got enter exception, message, source, all that stuff, right? So it is
Mm-hmm.
an error variable, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can set that, and the reason you would do that is to not get it confused with any other error variables that you might have, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't want to manage the array of the
Okay.
global error built-in error variable.
Mm-hmm.
So you may put this in here by yourself, by itself, so that you can manage this one completely separately if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So, and I believe, and it's been a long time, let me see ls on this guy. So PowerShell is also really good at um, uh, I think you can say something like EA. So for error action, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you should be able to do that too. And probably EV as well. So you don't always have to type the full name of the variables, right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it's unique, once you get to a unique point, then,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of like spconfig, right? Um, so that's error variable. Now we're going to talk about catching specific errors. And that's really fun, and it can be really useful in the right circumstance. But in SQL, we don't always hit the right circumstance. But uh, let me see if I have anything on that just yet. Yes, I do. Okay, good. So I've got a little example here that I've worked out. So let's do let me think what would be the best way to do this. Okay, so we're going to do a try catch. In fact, we should probably go to Notepad for this. Yes, I could fire up a a PowerShell editor, but this will be good enough for what we're going to do. So I want to try, put in my curlies, and then I'm going to catch. Yeah, put in my curlies, and just for giggles, put in my finally, which you don't have to have, right?
Yep.
Finally is the only one that's optional. So the other day, um, we talked about parsing. Uh, we talked about parsing error messages and putting them in the catch and say, do this with this error message and that with that error message and so on, right? Because I said,
Yep.
you're not gonna put more than one catch in there, right? That
No, you can set more than one catch.
you can set more than one catch. That was for the purpose of our discussion the other day to not confuse things,
Well,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you can set multiple catch because this is all based on .NET and C# and all that, right? So I can
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
catch specific types of exceptions. So I could say I want to catch, oops, that's not right. That's right. So I want to catch system dot io dot uh, I want to catch that one, right? So this is the only one I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested in. Or I'm only interested in these two, where I do that. Ah, that didn't work out at all. And say system dot not supported exception, right? Or
Yep.
file not found, or something like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can catch specific ones in multiple catch statements. And then, if I want to try to fix it, then for the directory not found, I may want to put something in here and create the directory,
Yeah.
right? This is a crappy way to
Mhm.
do that, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
you would never do something like that because then you've got to get back up to your try somehow, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I don't really know of a good way to do that. But if you wanted to create it for the next time, right? Um,
Yeah.
so a better way would be to test it ahead of time, right? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you can catch different exceptions and do different things with them. So, say directory can't be found, that's the problem of this one application group and they need to create the directory, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then resubmit something. Or, file not found, then you send an email to them saying, hey, the file hasn't been dropped yet, or something like that, right? I mean, there's a number of things
Yeah.
you could do. I still kind of prefer to handle uh, all of my all of my errors the same way, right? So I still prefer to
Mhm.
have an error handling function that gets called
Mhm.
from everywhere because that's just cleaner.
Yeah.
And if I need to email somebody based off of an error, I personally, of course, this is just me. There are
Mhm.
lots of really hardcore PowerShell guys that don't think this way, but they're also not DBAs.
Right.
But I personally prefer to save my error messages when it's going to be an automated routine like this to a table, and
Yeah.
then come in behind and do
Work with it.
something with them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
handling the error message and uh, responding to it are two different things,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
to handle the error message, I'm going to call a function that saves the error to a table with all the relevant info. Responding to the message, I may actually set up an agent job that goes through that table and sends out all the emails every 5 minutes or something that
Yeah.
that need to be sent out, right? And manage it that way. So
Mhm.
I like to keep those two things separated. Um, the second I start hard coding uh, email addresses in my scripts and whatnot, it becomes messy, right? So, and there are
Mhm.
ways around that as well. I mean, you could hard code them in a separate include function, right? And an include file and a function, and then have it call the ones that are relevant and all that. But we just prefer database stuff, right? All those other guys, they work through, uh, um, they work through text files and XML files and JSON files, and everything they do comes from a file and goes to a file, and that's just not how we do things, right? Because we have to do things against hundreds of servers and tens of thousands of databases, and if we put everything in files, it would be ridiculous to try to manage, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, this
Mhm.
one's a little bit shorter than the last video, but I did want to catch this for you so you could go back and at least, you know, see the syntax and see
Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
see the multiple catch statements. And there's one more little bit to this because sometimes this can be hard to see, right? Let me see if I get this. If I'm lucky enough to
Mhm.
get this here. Oops, there we go. So in here, I've got inner exception message source. Let's see. Well, I can set the source, so that's not good. Da, 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 da. I'm looking for. I can get it in the error. So let's do this instead. Let's say, let's clear the screen. And this time, let's not set an error variable, but we are going to keep it at stop. So I do that. See if I get this. Okay, good. And now let's say GM. So here, I've got my error record. and I've got category info and error details and exception, right? So let's take a look at some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Error, I'm going to pipe that to a format table, right? And I'm going to look
Mm-hmm.
at category info and exception and see what we get. So that was way more than we wanted. Let's look at just
Yeah.
category info. That's way more than I wanted there too. Oh, you know what? I bet you anything. Let's do this. Let's clear the screen and let's go up a couple times. Let's clear it. Let's run this again. Well, it's at least better because you remember we were
Mm-hmm.
stacking up that
Yeah, it's an array.
array, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's see if I can say. Probably shouldn't have done that. There we go. That's better. So I don't know why that's not coming through when I get the when I put it in a format table. So if I
Yeah.
look at just the category info, I can see the reason item not found exception,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what we're looking for, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
looking for probably ah, system.item not found exception, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you find what you're looking for to be able to put in these multiple catches,
Okay.
right? Let's see what we got in the other one. What was the other one? Um, there we go. So we had exception. Let's look at the exception info.
Mm-hmm.
And that just gives you the error message itself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can see this, you can see these things in here. PS message details, I haven't looked at that in a long time. Um, but you can get the types that you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for to be able to put in these error messages like that. So not supported exception, right? And so on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there you go. That is another piece of the error handling puzzle.